I'm back. Y'all already know 2 videos in one day? Man, we lit, man. Donald Trump don't like Senator Adams. I ain't gonna waste no time, man. I'm gonna turn the fire up. We lit. Let's go.
Well, joining me right now is Senator Adam Schiff, member of the Judiciary Committee. He previously led the first House impeachment of Donald Trump and has been a rhetorical target, certainly, of the president ever since. Senator, welcome, my friend. So, first off, the president pressuring his attorney general to go after you, saying, quote, "We have to act now." How do you interpret that?
Well, as a threat, he made it very clear that he was firing the U.S. attorney in Virginia for not bringing a meritless mortgage fraud case against Letitia James. And he's basically out in the opening, pressuring his attorney general, sending a message to other U.S. attorneys out there that if they don't do his will, they don't do his bidding and bring meritless cases against his enemies, they could be fired. And this is unlike anything we've ever seen. Nixon had his enemies list, but it wasn't so exhaustive and blatant as this, where he was ordering in front of the whole country the Justice Department to go after his enemies. In my case, for impeaching him, leading his first impeachment, for serving on the January 6th committee. And what he wants to try to do is not just go after me and Letitia James or Lisa Cook, but rather send a message that anyone who stands up to him on anything, anyone who has the audacity to call out his corruption, will be a target, and they will go after you. It's an effort to try to silence and intimidate people, but I refuse to be silenced or intimidated.
I'm certain of that, sir. May I ask you what the president was saying as he was leaving? We heard them there on the lawn saying that he's not telling Pam Bondi and DOJ what to do, and he will abide by whatever she does. Does that give you any solace at all, thinking that you're confident in the actions you have taken and there will be nothing for her to find to go after you for?
No, I don't think it should make anyone confident. He's made it very clear through his actions, not just his words. He's fired the U.S. attorney in Virginia for not bringing a meritless case. And so his actions speak very loud. His words speak very loud. I think what you saw there was an effort by the president to try to clean up the mess he's created. His White House counsel said, you really can't say that. You need to try to walk it back somehow. But he's made his intent very clear, pointing out what he wants Bondi to do, and also taking action by firing U.S. attorneys that don't bring meritless cases he wants brought.
You know, Senator, Americans have long held the notion there should be a wall between the White House and the DOJ, and the DOJ should be and is partisan. So what does Trump's latest effort mean for that arm of government?
Well, it's really quite tragic. I served for almost 6 years in the U.S. Attorney's Office. I venerated my experience in that department, all the hardworking men and women who are doing, I think, really, really important work on serious cases. But this just casts a shadow over all of it. We've seen top leadership at the department devastated. We've seen 3 top people, Trump criminal defense lawyers, appointed to the top positions at the Justice Department. They're running things. When you see, for example, Todd Blanche personally intervene in the Epstein case, Blanche, who acknowledged that he has a continuing duty to his client as Trump's criminal defense lawyer, then it's the interest of the American people that suffer. You're seeing the same devastation at the FBI, where senior FBI agents are being fired or pushed out. So the nonpartisan leadership at the top is being pushed out. It's gone. And instead, you have this now fully weaponized department to go after the president's enemies. And in the case of Tom Homan, to run interference against investigations that are serious and warrant investigation. So you have both the dismissal of charges against the president's allies like Eric Adams, the dismissal of investigations against Tom Homan, and pressure to bring meritless investigations against the president's enemies.
But, Senator, what can Democrats do if the president has loaded up all of these positions with loyalists or people he certainly feels will be loyal?
Well, first of all, these people should have never been confirmed for these positions. And there's a limit to what Democrats can do, given that we don't have the votes in the Senate to defeat them. We need some Republicans of good conscience to turn down the RK Juniors that are going to endanger the public health, or the Pete Hegseths that are going to endanger the national security, and to call for the resignation of people like Tom Homan. I mean, how can you have a top enforcement official, the border czar like Tom Homan, who took $50,000 from undercover agents in a bag, with the apparently, reportedly, the promise of helping deliver federal contracts when he was going to take a position in the Trump administration? How can you have that person in leadership? He should be gone. And I hope my Republican colleagues will join me and others in demanding that the videotape of him taking the bag, literally holding the bag, be shown to the public. We also, I think, ought to hear the audio conversations of him making those promises in exchange for that $50,000 in cold cash. I mean, who does that? Who takes $50,000 in cash in a bag if they're doing something legitimate?
I think, Senator, it's important to note that this was an action that allegedly transpired in September of last year. It was prior to the president being reelected. This FBI, this DOJ departments both closed the investigation. They cited lack of credible evidence of any kind of wrongdoing. You have Congressman Robert Garcia, who's calling for Homan to be fired as well. Reporters asked Trump about this report last night, and he said he'd not yet seen it. Is Trump going after people who have followed the law and not done anything wrong, while DOJ is letting off the hook people who should be investigated?
Absolutely. And there was a deep irony, which probably wasn't appreciated when Kash Patel and Todd Blanche put out that statement defending the dismissal of this investigation against Homan, when they said they need to focus on serious investigations involving national interest and not baseless investigations. Well, they're focused on the baseless ones, and they appear to be dismissing the serious ones, like against the mayor of New York, like the investigation of Tom Homan. So this is exactly what they're doing. They're using the Department of Justice now as a sword to go after his enemies, the president's enemies, as a shield to protect and cover up for the president's friends like Tom Homan. And this isn't going to make the American people safe. It's a continuation of the campaign of intimidation we see against late-night comedians. We see against media organizations who get sued. The New York Times being sued, the Wall Street Journal being sued by the president. It is a broad-based effort to silence the president's critics through the denial of mergers, through extortionary litigation by the president, and through the abuse of the Justice Department.
Senator, I want to review your sparring, if you will, with FBI Director Kash Patel at last Tuesday's Senate Judiciary hearing, and I want to play a bit of what he said to you in an answer to your question about Ghislaine Maxwell's transfer to a minimum security prison. Here's that.
Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it in
Prisons.
The Bureau of Prisons decided on their own, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No, I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of inmates.
Your voice, absolutely incredible there in what you were posing. I'm curious your assessment, sir, of Patel's answers, not just to your committee, but also to the House Oversight Committee on the Epstein case and files.
Well, I think he lied to our committee repeatedly, most specifically when I asked him, in addition to those questions, about the firing of top FBI agents who have reported in a civil complaint that Patel basically told them that they were going to get rid of anyone who investigated Donald Trump. Didn't matter what the merits were. They were going to get rid of anyone who investigated Donald Trump, and there was nothing that these agents could do about it. And he acknowledged that he would get sued and it might be illegal, but they were going to do it anyway. So when I asked him about those allegations, he denied them all. I think that he will be deposed in that civil litigation and shown to be lying to the U.S. Congress. But also, he testified that the only person they had evidence that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked young women to was Jeffrey Epstein. that after for years calling for the release of Jeffrey Epstein's list, effectively he was saying that the only person on that list was Jeffrey Epstein. I don't think anyone buys that, and I don't think it's consistent with what victims have said. So, sadly, we have this person now running the FBI who's not respected by the people in the Bureau, who is incompetent, as we saw in his erroneous announcements that they had the suspect in custody when they didn't, regarding the terrible shooting of Charlie Kirk. So, I worked with the FBI for years as a prosecutor. They are the premier law enforcement agency in the country, but right now they are under the worst possible leadership.
I know that you, sir, are reintroducing what you call the Protecting Our Democracy Act. It's to put a limit on Trump's presidential power. Can you tell us what's in that bill and which Republicans have said they will support you on this?
This is a bill that I introduced in the prior Congress that had passed when the House of Representatives was in Democratic hands, so we weren't able to get it through the Senate. But it basically empowers the Congress vis-a-vis the executive branch to put a check on the executive. It strengthens the enforcement of congressional subpoenas. It prohibits and provides an enforcement mechanism for the president receiving lavish gifts like a $400 million aircraft from the nation of Qatar. It prevents the hiring of special employees like Elon Musk, who are not subject to conflict of interest laws. It would make them subject to conflict of interest laws. It would prevent the president from dismissing a criminal case against himself. So it is a whole range of efforts to rebuild these norms, including the norm we've been talking about, and that is the wall that walls off the independence of the Justice Department from interference by the president. In terms of what Republicans may support it, they're too scared to put limits on this president. We see that every single day. But nevertheless, I think it's really important for Democrats to let the country know, hey, when we're back in power, this is what we're going to do, so we never again have such a runaway, corrupt presidency.
It's important to note that you passed that bill in the House before Donald Trump returned to the White House office. Senator Adam Schiff, I'm sure you'll take it up again in the Senate. And I thank you for your time with us. Good to see you.
Thank you.
President, today we meet at
Bam, I'm back with another banger. Basically, they saying Trump is lying about everything he's saying out of his mouth. You hear me? They are doing anything with our money, and we can't do nothing about it. But y'all heard it first on the Yocuzpodcast. I catch y'all tomorrow.